This lovely patron asked me to recast a remake of 1974's Black Christmas. Now, mind you, Black Christmas already has had 2 remakes, one very bad in 2006 and one in name only in 2019. So here's the cast I would have chose. I'm sticking to like the mains, and here's the story I would have done. First of all, I'd have Delaney Haley's, which I hope I'm pronouncing her last name right, be our main character Jess. Next, I would have Hunter Schafer actually be Phyllis, who is Jess's best friend. I'd have Brianna Hildebrand be Barb. I'd have Jenna Ortega be Claire, aka our first victim. Mostly because I like the rug pull of like, oh my gosh, this actress that's well known within horror properties and she's the first one that gets got. I want Jessica Lange as the house mother, okay? I need her as the house mother. And I would have Mike Face be Peter, aka Jess's boyfriend. As for the slasher of the story, aka Billy Lenz, I would have there be multiple actors, one of them being Mike Face. As for the story itself, I would have it be set in the 1970s, explicitly in America, mostly because the original was filmed in Canada and it never really said like where it took place. I like horror movies that encompass the horrors of society, so racial elements. Who would have thought? Who would have thought that would end up in one of my narratives? I really like the idea of still having that whole pregnancy through line that we saw within the original Black Christmas, but now it's even more intense due to the fact that the child would be born mixed race. I like the undertone being that Peter's family would not be as accepting and that Jess is fearful of this, and it's one of the reasons, aside from having to put her entire life on hold for this child, that she wants to have an abortion. I also really like the idea of the sorority itself kind of being a mixed pot safe haven. It's the sorority of more of the outcasts, which I would also have be the reason why the cops don't take their calls of being harassed seriously. Them believing that these frumpy girls that are in this like melting pot house could never be the subject of somebody's like sexual desire until, you know, Claire goes missing. Of course, the iconic phone calls must be replicated. I also would make sure to have background shots where you can see Billy. Like, a girl walks past a room, and if you slow down the frame, you can see him in the open doorway. There are no clear shots of him, but it's just little background things, kind of like The Devil in Long Legs, where once you notice it one time, you realize you have probably missed a myriad of times he's been in the dark and you just didn't see it. However, in a scene where Billy is actively interacting, I would have it be strictly from his point of view. I would obviously keep the unicorn head kill because it's iconic, and of course Claire's. But for Phyllis's death in specific, I would really like a scene where Phyllis is in the attic with Billy while he's on the phone with Jess. I would have it be after that iconic line from the sheriff, the calls are coming from inside the house, that the call is cut, and when it rings again, Jess picks it up to hear Billy on the other end. Him ranting and raving about finally finding Agnes, and that is when Jess hears Phyllis's screams from above her. I would still like to do that quasi-open ending of like, was Peter the perpetrator or was it Billy? I really like the idea of them, you know, putting Jess to bed and being like, we'll come back for his body in reference to Peter. And they leave. And in the doorway, you can partially see somebody crouching down next to the threshold. So still leaving it open-ended, like, is it Peter or was there like another guy there? But that's personally how I do it. Let me know what you think.